South Sudan has suffered a fresh setback to its hopes for peace. For a second day running, rebel leader Riek Machar has failed to fly home. Machar is due to take up his role in a unity government that's part of a deal to end almost 30 months of civil war. Tonight, both sides are pointing fingers over the delay, and CCTV's Nagila is in Juba. He felt the following report.
Plenty of flights heading out of Juba, but no sign of the one flight coming in that millions have been waiting for. Riek Machar was due to fly in from Ethiopia on Monday and delayed. Tuesday was a similar no-show. For the second day running, Dr. Riek Machar has failed to show up in Juba, but this time his spokesman laying the blame squarely on the government's door.
We are deeply sorry once again to announce cancellation of the arrival of His Excellency Dr. Riek Machar, First Vice President Designate, who is supposed to come today to Juba. He is not coming to Juba by today.
Why?
For issue of related to logistics, one. Two, also there is another demand that came up, that the flight of the plane of Chief of General Staff must obtain clearance to use South Sudan airspaces.
The government's response:
the government of the Republic of South Sudan will not accept any additional arms or surplus forces to be brought to Juba. If the SPLM-AIO has any surplus forces or has any surplus arms, they are not supposed to be brought to Juba, but to be taken to their cantonment areas or kept in their headquarters in Paga.
For the media camped at this airport, it's annoying. For South Sudan and the region, it could be a lot more serious. Thousands died in the civil war sparked by Machar's political feuding with President Salva Kiir. Regional body IGAD brokered a peace deal last August in which both men would partner in government. Yet since then, there's been little progress putting it into action. As of Tuesday night, there's been no word on when Machar might actually arrive at this airport. South Sudanese will be hoping it's a temporary setback. Nagila, CCTV, Juba, South Sudan.
South Sudan's government has since released a statement on Riek Machar's failure to arrive in the capital, Juba. In the statement, the government claims that Machar indefinitely called off his coming to Juba. The statement takes issue with information that Machar wanted to come in with an arsenal of arms, including anti-tanks, laser-guided missiles, and heavy machine guns. It further takes issue with Machar's intention to bring in his entire contingent of 350 soldiers currently serving as his protection force stationed at the Airport. The government argues that Machar's SPLA in opposition had already deployed 1,370 soldiers at the airport in Juba, which is just 40 soldiers short of the total number of soldiers he was entitled to under the peace agreement and subsequent negotiations agreed to in November last year. Now, that statement from the government appears to have been referring to some 200 troops loyal to opposition leader Riek Machar, who were earlier in the day at Ethiopia's Gambela airport waiting to be airlifted to Juba. The troops were part of the final group of people initially scheduled to travel with the opposition leader. The soldiers were led by Machar's military chief of staff, General Simon Gartwech. Gartwech had allegedly requested extra soldiers and an arsenal, including missiles and tanks, for his arrival in Juba.
We are going back to the national capital to go and form the Tigoni, the transitional government of South Sudan. So also we are very happy that we have to bring back bring back peace and harmony to our people.
Right, let's get more details now on this story. CCTV's Nagila is standing by with the latest from South Sudan's capital, Juba. Robert, there's clearly a back and forth between the government and Riek Machar's side over the cause of the delay in Machar's return. Is there clarity on exactly what is now in contention?
Well, Penina, we started the day with so much hope and ended it with so much uncertainty. In terms of what's in contention at this particular moment, it really depends on which side, which it really depends on which side of the line that you listen to and you believe in terms of the support. Now, when you listen to the government side, they say very clearly that as far as they were concerned, Dr. Riek Machar and his group that were supposed to come into Juba were coming in with very heavy weapons, including laser-guided missiles and heavy machine guns. And they say that that was simply not part of the agreement. We're yet to hear from the Machar side as to whether this was the case. But it does appear that the government is saying this is the reason why we could not allow that flight or those flights, because it was more than one, those flights to take place. So at this particular point, it appears that the fact that they were not allowed to fly over Southern Sudanese airspace, nobody seems to be disputing that. I think we just have to wait to hear from the other side as to why this plane was not, as to whether this plane was loaded with weapons. Now, the other thing that the government says is that there were more soldiers on board those flights than should have been. According to the agreement, the Chief of Staff is allowed 25 soldiers, while Riek Machar was allowed an extra 75 soldiers, because he's already got 1,300 soldiers on the ground as we speak. So the government is simply saying that this is simply not acceptable, and it goes against the agreement signed by the two sides. Penina?
So the government says, Robert, that Machar's return has been postponed indefinitely. His spokesman, that's Machar's spokesman, had earlier indicated that he would be returning on Wednesday. So what is the right position?
Well, there's a lot of confusion surrounding this bit as well, because if you read the government statement, it says that his return has been cancelled indefinitely. However, they leave the door open, or they appear to do that, saying that he is welcome into Juba at any time. Now, when it comes to the spokesman, I myself interviewed the spokesman this afternoon, and he was very categorical when I asked him, is Machar do you have any idea when Dr. Riek Machar will be expected into Juba? And he says, no, I do not have any idea. We do not know when he will be coming into Juba. However, we've had from other media outlets where they say that he also gave an interview saying that he would come on Wednesday. So there's a lot of confusion around that bit as well. Penina?
Now, Robert, Machar's anticipated return had evoked a sense of optimism that the two sides may have closed ranks and set the pace for a return to stability. Is that sense of optimism still evident in Juba?
Well, in terms of that sense of optimism, really, what we were getting that sense from a lot of his supporters. You've got many of them who are still in refugee camps within the capital, Juba, and outside the capital as well. Now, many of them that we spoke to over the last couple of days says that peace was the only solution to unite this country so that it can move forward. On the government side, when you talk about the government side, they basically said, look, we've held our end of the bargain, so it's up to Machar now to come in so that the transitional government can be formed and we can begin working towards uniting this country and rebuilding it, especially the economy, which is practically in tatters at this particular moment as we speak. So I don't think that both sides are really looking at it from the same point of view. Everyone's approaching it from a different point of view, but the consensus was that once they began working together, they would then reach some form of agreement in terms of uniting this country and moving this political process forward until they got towards that elections, which was supposed to take place in about 30 months. So this is where we are at the moment, catch-22 situation. Not moving backwards, not moving forward. The underlying tensions still exist. Those have not gone away. And it's almost as if now the ball has been thrown back into Dr. Riek Machar's court. We have to wait and see what he's going to say tomorrow about this whole scenario that has developed today. Penina?
We will indeed wait for that, Robert. Thanks very much for joining us. Robert Nagila live in Juba.